spry. Through the city he weaves like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked, like he doesn't care. With a backpack full of snacks and a gleam in his eye. He's the hero we need, the electric scooter guy.
Gear up, Scooter fam. So I just wanted to talk a little bit today about the V11Y from Inmotion. Kind of look at a little bit of footage here, give my opinions, and sort of how everything's going right now. This footage that's playing right now, which we'll take a look at pretty soon here as it progresses. I just set the camera up pretty much at this point, but the phone, actually, this is my cell phone. It does better when it's still outside, when it's when we're not moving. The GoPro is better for like the helmet cam stuff when I'm actually moving. It does really well even in the heat. And the phone does better than the GoPro standing, just being still. So for the still shots, I use my phone, and then for the action shots, I use my GoPro. So I have a little bit of footage from the GoPro in the parking lot, but it's pretty, it's pretty boring. It's pretty limited. You don't really get to see a lot. It's better I can talk through it and kind of show what I'm doing. But in any case, I'm going to talk through once again. I know I talked a little bit about this, but I want to make sure that I'm explaining everything the right way. So my thought process from this from the very beginning was to take my time. Yeah, I watched plenty of videos of people saying that they learned in 15 minutes. Some people didn't even seem like they even had to learn. They just jumped right on and started riding. And then anything in between, from like, people say that, it took quite a long time. But, I'll tell you from the most part, I've seen people that got started pretty quickly. A couple of days, they were off and riding and doing their thing. And I didn't put that kind of pressure on myself. I said, look, I'm not going to come out here 6 hours a day and try to get it all done in like 2 or 3 days. I'm going to come out here 30 minutes or so, in between 30 minutes to an hour, get some stuff done. If you can see here, this one is like 46 minutes long. So, right in between 30 minutes to an hour, full time. And then the other one I got, I believe, is like right at an hour. But so I'm coming out, doing this 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes to an hour. Real quick, let's just stop right here. I'll point this out in a minute, but for now, let me kind of finish what I was saying. So, in any case, one of the things that that I like I said, I told myself that I was going to do was I was going to take my time. I wasn't going to rush it, come out here 30 minutes to an hour, put the time in, do it every day. I wasn't trying to, like, once again, do it all in 15 to 45 minutes, not even close. I came out here, and started taking one piece at a time and sort of attacking that piece one day at a time. And I'm still doing that. I'm just further along. So day one, and I'm gonna try to do a video of this explaining this, but I'm just trying to lay out exactly what I did, and then I'll do a video once I get it all. I get proficient, enough to do a video. I'll do a video showing you the steps that I took, and I'm not gonna wait, years down the road when I'm trying to remember all the stuff that I was trying to do when I was a beginner, because I am a beginner. So once I get proficient and I feel good about it, I don't want to lead you guys astray by any stretch of the imagination. But if I successfully learn to ride, and you're interested more in a more gradual approach to learning, as opposed to 15 to 45 minutes and kind of putting your faith in the wheel and just kind of going for it, that's this is going to be the approach. I'm not going out there trying to do it all in a day, nothing like that, even in amount of days. So I've been taking it very gradual, very slow, getting out every piece of what I can out of each step. So I only move on from one thing once I'm satisfied that I've really done enough in this one skill or whatever to move on to the next. And so to start off, I think I said this before, but I start off just by learning how to get off and get on. I go out to the grass. I don't go to a wall. I don't go to a pole. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I didn't do that. And I don't necessarily recommend it. I didn't go to a wall because I didn't want to get dependent on the wall. Plus, I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the way it felt trying to go, use the wall. Just didn't like it. I started off day one in the grass. Now inside in my home, I got in the hallway just to get a feel for it in the very, very beginning before I took it outside, just to get a feel for it. In the hallway, put my hands up in the hallway, and then kind of rock back and forth like some of the people recommend, just to get a feel for the unit. And I took it outside. I spent hours, to be honest, my first day learning how to get off and get on, maybe 2 to 3 hours, because I did a little bit and I stopped and I went back out and did it again. And so I got off, got on, got off, got on. Very much, not being able to do it, very much banging up my ankles, upper ankles, really especially. It's the higher ankle that really is in level with the pedals, at least on this EUC. So the higher ankle is really at a disadvantage there. But I scraped up my ankles, had a couple, had one fall that day, but nothing crazy. It was in the grass. It was just me losing my balance. I just fell back on my butt. No big deal. But I spent that whole day doing that and got at least to the point where I could step on and step off. Not that I was a pro or anything like that, but I could at least step on. I did a lot of practice, lifting my foot up until I felt pretty strong, being able to hold the EUC with one leg there. Not spectacular, just for a beginner, enough to be able to step on. Day 2, I went out to a that's when I actually attempted to go to the wall first. I'm like, this is nuts. I didn't need the wall to get on. I had already practiced getting on and off, so I didn't need it. And secondly, I didn't like the way the wall felt while I was trying to get going. So I just went right out to the grass, again in a different area where it was kind of sloped downwards, had a slight downward slope, and I went ahead and started practicing just a few brief moments, practicing jumping on, letting it glide down just a few feet, and then jumping off. And then jumping on, not jumping on, but doing it the right way. And this is where I caught on to kind of pushing off like a scooter or something, right? So you put your dominant foot on the EUC and you got your other one off. And instead of just stepping over sideways onto the EUC, I actually push off a little bit and control the EUC with that, and then step up on the EUC and then step off. Or in this case, I practiced bailing a little bit. So I did, just bailed just a handful of times until I'm like, okay, I could do this. Then I moved over to a section, doesn't matter, what that I did, but this section I didn't have enough room, I felt like, to maneuver. So I moved to a section that was just my practice for bailing. But I moved to a wider section because you want a wide section so that you can go left to right either way. So I went to a wider section where I had more room to navigate, and now I could get on and get off, and now I knew how to bail. So I started getting on at the top of the slope, and then trying to balance on the way down. And it wasn't going well. I was getting a bit frustrated. Part of the day that I was doing this, I really couldn't go very far without having to bail. And I really wasn't making a lot of improvement. It just seemed like I was able to step on the same thing I had been doing for quite a while. Step on, step off, step on, step off. Not really going anywhere. And I was trying to think about how I was going to turn. So I see these videos, and they're all like, you want to, if you start to fall left, you want to turn left. And if you start to fall right, you want to turn right. So I'm trying to think about all these things as I'm going. And like I said, I know I've touched on some of this before. I was starting to think about some of these things, and I know you're supposed to like shift your hips and your weight and kind of swivel to keep balanced. So rather than wait and try to figure out which way I was falling, so I could quickly try to adjust, because that's a lot to do when you're trying to do it on the spot and you're not used to it. So my thing is this, my opinion is that, a lot of these people telling you how to do this just don't remember maybe how difficult it was when they were first doing it. They're probably able to do that now because they're so used to it. So they're like, fall left, turn left, fall right, turn right. But for someone who's never learned before, in my opinion, it doesn't help to try to think about it before you do it. You kind of have to get used to it. So what I started doing was just swiveling, regardless of if I knew which way I was going to go or not. I just started shifting, swinging put my arms out, and making sure that I could balance. And I did that the rest of the day. I did that for 2 more days. The last day I probably didn't need. The second day I did pretty well. I had plenty of long stretches where I was able to go down to where I could no longer go down to. So a nice little stretch there. I did it several times. But I wanted to make sure that I could do it one more day. I didn't want to cut myself short. And so I went there one more day, and I was able to do it again, repeat what I did the day before. I didn't grow. I didn't do it every time. I still was able to do it, fairly regularly. And so the next day I moved over to here in the parking lot where I'm at right now. And I started, no wall, no pole, no nothing. Went out to and the reason why I'd never tried a pole, I tried a pole. It's, one thing about me and poles, trying to go in circles and do these figure eights and so forth that they recommend you do. I get really dizzy really easy. And not only do I get dizzy really easy, I get motion sickness really easy. So I just can't go in circles, especially small ones. So it just, for me to go around a pole, I can do very slowly. But if I try to pick up speed, like I'm not, I'm going to have to go lay down for a couple hours to get over that. So that's just me, and that's one of the things I had to deal with. So, I'm not telling people don't do it, but you don't have to do it to learn how to ride. It's just one way to do it. And so, like I said, for me, I can't do that. It'll cause motion sickness, and I had to go lay down. When it gets to that point, I can't do anything. I get motion sickness. So, I can never do the merry-go-round as a kid. I can't go to theme parks and ride those rides. It's not, for me, that's not a thing. I get really sick really easily. So going in circles, not a thing. Not gonna be able to do that for me. So I didn't do that. Like I said, I tried, went on really slow, but I knew I would not be able to get up to where I can just go around and barely touch it. It's not going to happen. I'm glad for people that can do that, and if it helps you, great. But I just can't go in a circle a lot. and a smaller circle. I'm definitely not going to be doing figure eights. So, sorry, but I so I've had to learn with the way that I can learn, and so I just went right out into the parking lot, didn't use a pole, didn't use a wall, and I just mounted the EUC the way I'd been doing it, pushing off a little bit, and then tried to. At this point, I was not having to start shifting automatically without knowing. At this point, a couple of days of doing that, and I didn't have to just start shifting right away. It became more natural to follow the turn. I mean, not consciously, but just subconsciously, I had done it enough to where my body would my reflexes would kick in and start compensating and keeping the wheel upright. So that's what happened, and I got ahead to the pavement, and that's the same thing. So I had no problem staying up on pavement. In fact, way easier to stay up on pavement than grass. I knew that going in, so I knew it would be tougher on the grass, and I kind of wanted to train myself in that manner too, so that I could come out here and kind of be ready, and it worked. I did really good training in the grass. Most of my dropping the EUC was in the grass. I've dropped it a handful of times only on the concrete, and it's been pretty stayed in decent shape. The pedals are scratched up. There's a few little things, but it's pretty minor. In general, I had really good success so far on the pavement. But the first thing that came up was, I was moving pretty good, and I needed to be able to slow down. So I just started doing some speed up, slow down, and some stopping, so forth like that, and getting used to that, so I was comfortable. Because I was getting up to too high of a speed and then just having to bail at a decent speed, because I didn't know how to really slow down. So this is the point I'm at. I'm coming out here, and so once I got that down, then I was able to be able to stay balanced, and to be able to move around, speed up, slow down, and dismount fairly controllably. So what I'm going to point out here, and that's the part, like I said, where we're at right now, and this is that, all right? And if you look at my posture, this is one thing I'm going to point out. So I'm looking at the ground, right? I know that's bad. I already know that's bad. I do try to work on those things, and even now I have to make myself, but it's getting easier and easier. But if you look, I'm looking at the ground right here, and I should be looking forward. And I'm kind of slumped over here. My knees are a little bent, and so my posture is not great. It's not great, and I need to be looking up. I need to be standing up, and I need to be looking up. And so I'm a lot wobbly. I was gonna say I'm a little wobbly. I'm a lot wobbly in this particular video, in this portion of my learning, my training, my practicing, what have you. And so what I needed to do at this point was really start standing up straight. Even when I did look forward, I was doing it from a point of bad posture, more leaning over, trying to get a feel for moving the EUC forward, as well as trying to stay balanced and so forth. And if you notice that I'm still having to use my hands a lot. I'm still having to use my hands quite a bit here, and so let me just back up like 10 seconds. And I'm still having to use my hands a lot to balance, which I did for a while, up until I got to the point where, see, my hands are way out like this, and they're pretty much I'm having to balance and do these things. Arms are moving around quite a bit, and so forth. You can kind of see off to the edge there. I don't know if I'm going to come back in the frame here. I should have used the wide angle. I I didn't even think about it when I was recording it, that it was going to be this vertical orientation. But on the next video, I did turn it to the side so that at least there's a wide angle. And I was looking at the sky, but the clouds are pretty heavy, and then the sky is kind of nice. So it's a nice day, and it's kind of a nice view. But in any case, on this day, I was just kind of bent over, kind of slumped over, keeping my balance still with my arms out to the side a lot, like I was doing on the downhill stretch. And so what I had done was kind of get into a bad habit of looking down. Like I said, I'm not doing too bad. I'm kind of looking forward there, but I'm still slumped over. My posture still is slumped. I'm trying to look up, but my posture's still slumped, and I'm still having to use my arms quite a bit to stay balanced. And so a lot of the balance was coming from my upper body because of how I was standing, and so like I said, what I really needed to do at this point was stand up straight and look ahead, and it's instinctive to want to look at the pedals that you're going to step on, and then look at the ground in front of you when you start moving. I think it's very natural to want to do that. And so roll ahead and see what's going on. Let's get to some more footage. Here I go. So some of these are I'm kind of far away in the because it's a pretty big parking lot I'm practicing on. So I do try to come up to the camera though, fairly frequently. So we'll get some closer shots here. But in any case, like I said, I'm still very much trying to balance with my arms, and even when I am sort of looking straight ahead, which I, did once I got down here, I knew that was a thing, and I've been trying to get myself into the habit of that. Of course, once again, when you first step up or you start losing balance, it's easy, it's natural to kind of want to look down while you're trying to get things leveled out, and you could do it without looking down. I could step on and mount the EUC without looking at the pedal, but it's just natural to want to do that. So that's one of the things that it's just natural that you have to kind of get past. Everybody looks down. Everybody looks at the ground. Wants to see make sure their foot hits the pedal correctly, and so forth. So very natural to do, and it's something you have to mentally get over. So I had, once again, you can see my arm, it was kind of far away, but you can kind of see them swinging around, and it's very much has to do with my posture. And since I'm teaching myself, I don't have anybody to hold me up, while I move or give me pointers. I watch videos and I try to apply some of the things that I see to my practice, and the things that I jive with. Some of the things, like I said, I'm kind of like, I don't know. And I'll be honest, one of those things is just, going for it. I'm not, without knowing what I'm doing, it has nothing to do, when people say, well, you just got to trust that the wheel's going to catch you and this and that. That's fine. I trust the wheel to do what it does. I don't trust me to stay on the wheel until I get used to it. So nothing against the wheel. It's me. So once I feel comfortable with myself learning how the wheel reacts when I do lean forward to that degree, then that's going to come. That's going to come. But I'm not rushing that. I don't feel like that's necessary to learn how to ride an EUC. Will it speed it up? Maybe so. I'm not in a hurry. And so I have nothing to do tomorrow on the EUC that needs to get done, that quickly. So I wasn't concerned about speed. I was more concerned about learning things in a manner that I am comfortable learning, and not feeling pressured to jump into it, to want to succeed right away. You look back there, you can see my posture, my arms swinging around and so forth. And I'm not able to get my speed up very much, which once again, I'm not going out there and just leaning and going for it. Right now I have my speed set to 15. I think I've only went about 12 and a half miles an hour top speed, I think. The times that I clocked it, I did that. I don't have a speed limiter on a speedometer on the V11Y, but I can use the app on my phone, but I don't have a wrist thing. I'll get to that, but I'm just at this point I'm still trying to learn. There's no point for me to stare at my wrist when I'm trying to focus on everything around me, because that's where I'm at. So here's another view. You can kind of see me. This one's not too bad. I can't see my posture from the side. The arms are moving around a little bit, but this is better than what it was earlier. At least this particular view. The arms are coming out a little bit, but they're fairly staying down in general. So that particular run wasn't too bad. But I do recall, and maybe that was something I picked up on along the way, and but I do remember thinking about that after the fact, and thinking, I think I need to fix my posture. And once I fixed my posture and stood up straight and looked up, and I've seen that now on some videos, go watching it back. But once again, I can't possibly consider all the things that I've watched in every single video and try to incorporate them in my practice. So, yes, I saw those things, but did I recall that when I'm out here trying to practice? No, not right away. And so, once again, if I had had someone say, "You need to stand up straight," I could have progressed a little faster. But once again, no pressure. I didn't need anybody teaching me how necessarily. I'm fine, figuring it out on my own. And so this is the stage that I'm at. But once again, getting to this point, having to learn on my own, I needed to be able to just stand up. I needed to be able to stand up straight, start moving forward on the unicycle. So, especially starting off, and I still do a little bit now, because I'm not just jumping on and leaning forward as hard as I can to get going. I'm jumping on, and smoothing it out until I'm going, and that's just the way that I'm doing it. And who knows? Once I'll get more and more comfortable, maybe I'll jump on and just release it. Send it rather. So, and another thing is, these people, teaching this stuff, like I said, they've been doing this a while and so forth. And they also have all these pads and stuff on there on the EUC that holds their legs in place. When I lean forward, I am really gripping the sides of the unicycle. And mostly it's because I don't want to fall. Very simple. I don't want to fall. And so I probably don't need to grip it like that when I'm trying to really lean forward. But like I said, how else am I gonna hold myself up there? And so I know that the EUC will move forward and so forth, but I have to stay on the EUC. And if I lean forward too far, without something to hold on to, I'm going to fall off of the EUC regardless of what the EUC is going to do. And so, because my feet aren't going to be on it, so I'm glad it's doing what it's supposed to do. And that's what I mean by not being able to just go for it, because I don't have the equipment, and plus or the experience, but if I don't have the equipment to hold my legs in place, when the power pads, so forth, to hold my legs a little bit more secure when I lean forward, that would be a lot better. But right now, I feel like I'm almost gonna fall. Not because the EUC isn't gonna catch me, because my feet are gonna come off the pedals, and so. Once again, that's just a different whole different thing there. So I'm taking this very slowly. I seen a couple comments on some on a post that I did on one of the room boards on the I think it was the Inmotion, one of the Inmotion boards, and I said said something about I got this electric unicycle, the V11Y and so forth, and I asked for any advice or tips or whatever. Just kind of want to get a feedback from everyone, and I got some pretty cool people saying stuff. And they talked about the pads and different recommendations and so forth. But a couple of people commented. One was a lady that said that she had the same model that I got, the V11Y, for a couple of months now, and it's just been sitting in the corner because she can't mentally get over the intimidation factor. So she's intimidated to jump on it and really go for it, and so she's not riding it. Then another guy commented on that, on her post, her comment, and said, I had the same problem. I had the V11, but I can't ride it, and I have to ride my E20. And so he's got the little double wheel thing that is, for people that don't want to learn how to ride an EUC. That's my opinion. That's why I said I didn't get something like that, because I actually wanted to learn how to ride an EUC. And that's nothing against anyone, because I know they're trying to do it any way that they can, and I'm not one to just tell people what they should or shouldn't do. See, look at me here. I'm kind of dancing around, I even got a little groove going where I was doing kind of a little back and forth kind of thing going on there, trying to keep it going, but very slow, not very controlled dismounts and so forth. Doing fine. Like I said, I haven't dropped my EUC that many times on the pavement, but anyway, and back to this story about this lady and this other guy, is I feel like they're being too pressured. They're being too pressured to learn it really quickly. And I don't know the whole story. I didn't pry and say, well, why? How come? This and that, But I want people to know that's watching this, that I believe that you can learn how to ride an EUC without putting that kind of pressure on yourself to be able to send it day one. And I've been doing this over 2 weeks now, and I still can't send it, and I'm not even in a hurry to send it. I did take my first trip today to actually go do something, and so my confidence in riding it is better. But I went pretty slow. If I wasn't comfortable at a certain spot, then I walked across intersections, because I just didn't feel like jumping on and trying to shoot across on the EUC with cars waiting on me. I'll get there, but I walked across intersections today, and tight spots. I didn't try to maneuver in too many tight spots, but other than that, I did pretty well. I took I did go through a few little tight areas. I went up a hill. I went down a hill, not a big hill. I went down an okay hill, and then I went back up a pretty okay, and then a turn into a pretty steep hill where I really test all my my scooters for going up that particular hill, and I was able to head up this slight hill, and then it's at a corner, and then I turn, and I did all this, and then it's tight turn because you got the stop walk there, and you got the push walk sign and so forth. So feel that you got to hit, and then you go on up the hill. So I did all that, and without issue, and I didn't want to start at the bottom of the hill and like try to mount and then go up the hill. Just didn't want to do that. So I tried my best to squeeze in between there and then go on up the hill and pull it off successfully. So I'm making strides. I couldn't have done that, on this day. But I am doing those things. I am going to get better. Getting faster is going to become natural. As soon as I start hitting 15, I think it'll beep at me because that's where I have it set. I haven't heard any beeps yet. And when I did test it, I was only up to about 12.5 miles an hour. So I'll get there. I'm not trying to, like I said, not trying to run a race or get it done like extremely fast or anything like that. But I'm getting there. And so I just wanted to, let people know you don't have to do it overnight. And if you want to take your time and you want to do this slowly, like you can do that. And if you think that you have to learn by getting on and just trying to go 40 miles an hour out of the gate, it's just not true. If you learn the way that I did, where you go balance on grass, on going on a slightly downhill slope, being able to stay up for a certain period of time, which I did get that idea from. I've gotten all these different ideas from different videos, but that particular idea I got from another video. I didn't, not the shifting thing, yes, but I didn't. It never dawned on me to just start shifting, regardless. Like, still you're trying to think about it. So just start shifting. Once you get to that point, you can now balance on pavement. You can now do it. And so getting to that point, once you can balance on pavement, you can take your time doing the rest. There's no rush. Go out a little bit every day, go out when you can, whatever, like I did, and just let it come to you. Let it come to you. Have fun doing what you want to do, and just take your time. It's possible, but you have to. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't let people, convince you that that's the only way to learn. Is just a sink or swim, so to speak. Throw you in the deep end and say, hey, if you don't make it, it wasn't meant for swimming. That kind of thing. So don't do that. I heard a story about a guy who got up to kind of wanted to do the same thing and get going pretty quickly, and he got going and hit up like 25 miles an hour. So here's a little bit more video. It's pretty boring, I'll be honest, I'm not going to lie, but I just want you guys to see my posture a little bit and sort of see some of the differences. Now, but in any case, I was saying this guy, he got going like 25 miles an hour, started getting wobbles and didn't know how to correct them. I think he tried to, slow down quickly, which was the wrong move, and then he just went down. See, my posture is a little better. I'm wearing a little bit lighter gear. That one day was pretty hot out there, and I just decided not to do that again. So I've been going a little lighter with the gear, especially in the parking lot. So I want to get some better gear. I don't have the exactly right gear. I got this gear for the scooters. I don't really have shim protection, so I need to get some. I've got that one kind of like suit. I got motorcycle pants and a motorcycle shirt that's kind of like a Under Armour kind of thing, and then I wear a jersey on top of that. That's what I was doing last time. And so but yeah, this guy, got going and then went 25 miles an hour, got the wobbles, bam, hit the ground. Not that that's, and everyone also says, go ahead and get it out of the way, get your first crash out of the way and so forth. And this And so that's fine, right? I mean, you gear up just in case, but in my opinion, you don't gear up so that you can crash. That's not the plan. And so I don't go out there planning to crash. I don't want to crash. And if I can avoid it, I will not crash. I know it's a reality, which is why I'm wearing my gear and why I'm trying to get exactly the right gear for EUC. And so I'm gonna do that, but at the moment, I'm just trying to get my practice in and so forth. Going pretty slow, but in any case, yeah, you don't have to go out there and go 25 miles an hour in order to learn how to ride an EUC. And speaking of wobbles, I got wobbles so much since I've been riding this thing, and I'm glad that I am not sending it and getting wobbles and having to figure it out at 25 miles an hour. Figuring it out at 12 is fine, that's okay with me. Figuring it out at 25 is not where I want to be. By the time I'm up to 25 miles an hour, I already want to be comfortable correcting wobbles, and so that's what I'm doing, and I'm doing it. I've had wobbles again and again, time to time. It seems to happen at least once almost every time I ride. I get settled in or something without realizing. I do try to. I wouldn't necessarily call it a carve necessarily, but it's just shifting the weight. I just try to shift the weight around so that I'm not standing in one place on the EUC, and then I am shifting my weight from foot to foot. See, today I'm a little bit more. My posture is a little bit better. I'm looking a little bit more forward, and my arms are flailing around less and less. And I'm coming to a more controlled stops. So that all came from posture, changing the posture slightly, and then I was able to, and it clicked, that clicked and so forth. So, like I said, I'm learning how to deal with the wobbles at very low speeds, compared, and how to deal with them and how to ride through them. And I'm not bailed during any wobbles, and so if I can, and I think there's a little wobble right there. If I can get to the point where, not necessarily that I don't have wobbles, because from what I understand, everyone has wobbles now and then. Even people that know how to do their thing, they still get wobbles. So I want to know how to correct them. I want to be comfortable having went through it before I get up to speeds where it's scary, because if I get up to speeds where it's scary and I've never encountered a wobble before, I'm much less likely to A, be able to handle it correctly, and B, just not freak out about it. So, you could tell yourself, like, I'm not going to freak out about it, but unless you've been through it, my opinion, at lower speeds, your mentals, may not be with you when you need it the most. So, that's another reason I think taking this slowly, learning how to deal with wobbles at the lower speeds and working your way up, and then learning how to carve or shift the weight around so that you work through the wobbles, and it just doesn't intensify. And I've had pretty good luck with that. Once again, I watch the videos. I know not to let it stay completely balanced when you're just riding. You want to kind of move it around and so forth. So once again, see, my arms are pretty good. My posture's much better. My dismounts are much better. Like I said, that all pretty much came from posture correction. And so, once again, just, it's okay to take your time. It's okay to do the things to your own speed, to your own pace. Learn to turn on your own. Learn to accelerate on your own. It may be hard to tell, but I'm definitely standing up straighter and looking ahead much better than I was before. And my arms just really aren't, as you can see, just really not having to overcompensate for the balancing, because I've got a better posture. Now, another thing I'm doing also is I carry a backpack when I'm on my scooters. I carried a backpack when I was walking. I'm very used to carrying a backpack, but I haven't really been practicing a lot with a backpack on the EUC, and so I've been trying to incorporate that, getting a feel for that. It's not a big deal, but it does change things just slightly. My backpack's around 15 pounds, and it all kind of sits in one area. And so, balancing that on the EUC, just getting a feel for that, it didn't take very long, but it is a tad different how you stand and so forth with a backpack on, and the shifting your weight to do. I mean, just matters a little bit, having the weight distribution, 15 pounds of it kind of off kilter a little bit compared to your normal stance and body weight distribution. So I've been doing more practice with a backpack, getting used just to get my muscles used to doing that, and muscle memory and so forth, and balancing on the EUC, and kind of just having that be more normal, because I'm taking my backpack every time I ride the EUC in the real world. Not necessarily if I'm coming over to the parking lot, which I am trying to do now and then in the parking lot as well. Although at this point, I'm not sure I have that much left to learn in the parking lot. I've gone as fast as I really want to go in the parking lot, and I feel like I've gotten everything out of the parking lot that I can get. And so I did a parking lot ride today, and then I also did a trip, a small trip, probably about 3 miles. So I took about a 3-mile trip today, round trip, about 1.5 miles each way, on the EUC. Got a couple things done, and pretty happy about that. So let me talk about, to wrap this up, my feelings on the V11, Inmotion V11. What I like, what I don't like, so forth. Well, to be honest with you, I don't have a lot to compare it to. It's my only EUC. It's like me being on the Journey Max and trying to compare everything to it before I had any other scooters. Now, I knew a little bit about scooters when I got the Journey Max. I knew what I was getting, and I knew why I was getting it. But there's a clear difference between the Journey Max and some other scooters, and that is the dual motors. And for that price, it's hard to find a dual motor scooter. And I understand the benefit of a dual motor scooter. Back when I was going to build my own e-bike several years ago, I was going to build a dual motor e-bike just because I lived in Colorado, and I knew I would need the dual motors for the hills. And so I was already considering doing a dual motor e-bike several years ago, maybe like not quite 10 years ago, but close to 10 years ago, like 8 to 10 years ago. And so that's before e-bikes really came to where they are now. But I was going to build a dual motor e-bike. I had already bought the frame. I had started building the battery. I was considering building my own battery. So I learned quite a bit about lithium ion cells, the 18650s. And I bought on eBay like a whole laptop battery, kind of old laptop batteries. I think I got like 100 of them for like nothing hardly. And so I got like, or maybe it was $100 for like 30 or something. It was a lot. And I never even got to open all of them, but I cracked most of them open. Maybe I did crack them all open, but I ended up getting all these 18650 cells. I tested them. The good ones I kept. The other ones I threw out. The ones that weren't they should have a minimum charge. I don't remember what it was at the time. But whatever it was, I ditched the ones that didn't have at least a minimum charge, and I kept the ones that were that I was going to try to use to build my battery. And so I never got around to finishing that project. COVID happened. I bought a Trek bicycle, mountain bike with full suspension because I wanted full suspension on my e-bike with dual motors. I didn't want to worry about popping tires and so forth with suspension. Just kind of helps with that. So I knew I wanted a dual motor scooter, simple and plain. So I went with that. But the EUC is different, right? It's not a dual motor. It's a single motor. It's one motor. There aren't two motors. So it is what it is. Your hill climbing is what it is, but it works really well, really well. And I take that same hill with my scooters, with the Journey Max, with the Apollo City, with the Apollo Go, with the Klima, and even with the one that I fixed the throttle on for my buddy. And so I know what that hill is. I know what it, how easy it is to get up on my scooters, and the V11Y had no problems with that whatsoever. I didn't expect it to. So once again, I don't have another EUC to compare it to as far as riding it. If I do get a chance, I'll be happy to ride another EUC to compare it to. And this one's pretty heavy. Not too many people recommend a scooter this big or this heavy to learn on, but it's about 66 pounds. It comes up pretty high. It's just a lot to manage when you're learning to hold it up and so forth, and a balance and things like that. So you get a little 30 pound, a little smaller EUC. I just didn't want to buy something like the Journey Max and then want something else pretty quickly. I was expecting that with the Journey. Well, I didn't know for sure. That's why I bought a Journey Max. I didn't know if I really would be into scooters or not. So if I didn't spend more than $500, no big deal. But I did want something that I thought I would like, so I did go something that was dual motors. That was my big deal. And so I got the dual motor. I was happy with it, but I wanted something else pretty quickly. This, I didn't want to buy a $500 EUC or whatever and learn how to ride it and then get something that I actually wanted. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to buy, now I wasn't going to go buy, a $4,000 EUC either. But I wanted to buy something kind of in the middle. One that I could learn on, even if it was a little more difficult to learn, even if it took me a little more time to learn. And then, but once I learned, I would be happy with it for at least a while. And so right now, I don't go over 30 miles an hour on any of my scooters. So this having a top speed of 37 miles per hour is perfect. It has full suspension, which I knew I wanted suspension as well. So that was perfect. And so no real problems there. And so, like I said, I don't have a lot to compare it to, but let me just tell you some of the things that I like, some of the things that I don't like. Well, first of all, I like it. Okay, I like it a lot. I don't have a lot to compare it to, but it's pretty fun. I look forward to going and practicing every day. Some days are stressful. Some days are where I feel like I want to be further along than I am, or how come I can't do this or that? That's just natural. But I don't try to let those thoughts keep me from going out there again. I just keep going out there and stacking time, stacking miles, stacking hours, and just kind of letting it come to me. And I know that at the end of the day, but it doesn't mean that while I'm out there kind of practicing that I'm like, yeah, I really want to get better at this. And so that's just natural. And yeah, I try when I'm out there. I'm not saying I don't try. Nobody can get better if you don't try. But I only put that kind of pressure on myself for a short period of time. Then I go home and I'll put pressure on myself again tomorrow. So as far as that goes, I want to get better, and I do push myself to get better. But from a big picture standpoint, I'm not in a hurry. I'm just about small wins, stacking up small wins. And so that's my thing. And so yeah, this scooter, the EUC has been really fun to learn, really good to practice on. I think it wouldn't have been, once again, these, some of these cheaper EUCs, they don't have suspension. So you're buying something that, is going to be tough to ride on. I don't think I would enjoy riding riding an EUC that didn't have suspension. I just don't think it would be as enjoyable. And I'll say that probably one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing, on this EUC is the suspension. And I'll be honest, like I said, I don't have another EUC to compare it to, but I will compare it to my scooters. And versus my scooters, it's amazing. First of all, you got an 18-inch wheel, and then you got 85 millimeters of travel, whatever that calculates to in inches. And so that's a and from what I hear, that's pretty exceptional as far as EUCs go. And whether that, like I said, I can't tell you a lot of different feels as far as how it feels in different EUCs, but I can tell you this: it's way better than the scooters. Any scooter I have, it's way better. Going over bumps is a joke on this thing. It's a joke. Speed bumps, not even hardly a thing. I barely feel going over speed bumps. Going over little cracks, crevices, it's like nothing. It's like nothing. I mean, I took a trip today, and coming in this parking lot, you're like, well, I don't, you don't really know. But on these trips that I take every day, on my scooters, on my really good scooters on the Klima, when I hit a nice little crack, I'm gonna feel it. It's gonna clunk. It's gonna give me a little. No, it's not as bad as the suspension gets better. It's not as bad. And so, the Klima is, I feel it less than I do on the city, and I feel the city less than I do on the Go, and then I feel the Go less than I did on the Journey Max. And the Journey Max was the worst. I felt like it was gonna knock my hands off every time I hit even the slightest little bump. It had to be a bump, nothing, not just a crack, but a bump. Yeah, it was pretty tough. On the city, it's fine. It's not super plush, but it handles it pretty well. I don't feel it in my hands hardly at all, so that's what matters the most. Even on my Go, same thing. So that's what really matters. My feet, not all that more concerned about, but most of the suspension on the Apollos is fine. But my hands is more important than my feet. And of course, on here there's nothing to wear on my hands, so I've only got my feet. And so if I feel something on my feet, if it feels like it's gonna knock me off of the EUC, that's not good. And I wouldn't want to deal with that the same way that I did on the Journey Max. And not saying it would. Once again, you would still probably have a pretty decent sized tire as opposed to the Journey Max, which had an 8.5-inch tire. You're probably going to have something quite a bit bigger than that. So you're already going to have that to benefit you. But having an 18-inch tire and having 85 millimeters of travel and some decent suspension that you can adjust. And I've got it filled up for the correct weight and the recommendation. I also fill my tire up to 35 psi, which is on the lower end of the recommended psi on the side of the tire. And I do that mainly just because I want to, I don't want it to be at the maximum, but I don't want it to be below the lowest recommended, just me personally. Some people say they do that to get a better feel for it and have less wobbles and have more stability and so forth when you're getting going. And so I did do that. I did go on the lower end, but I didn't go below that. And I've considered a couple times because, I do have the wobbles now and then, and I want to kind of alleviate them. But I just, every time I think about it, I'm like, I really don't want to go below the bottom of it. So they say 35 to 45 PSI, so I keep it at 35 PSI. And like, who knows? They tell you to try to, eventually you're going to want to, keep it normally inflated. And so I haven't done too many things like to hinder myself from when they're saying like, while you're learning, it's okay to take all the suspension, take all the air out of your suspension, or ride with your tire half inflated. I don't want to create bad habits, and I want to get used to riding the way that I'm going to ride, and so I know that it may take longer. I know that I'm not going to see results as quickly, but in the end, I'm going to be a better rider. I'm going to have a better skill because I learned to do it the hard way. And so the way that I'm learning is not easy. I know that. It's kind of more difficult. Now, the mindset may be easier to approach than just going out there and going, but it's probably faster and easier to learn that way if you can get past that mental block. Me, I don't see a need for it. I'm much more okay with the slow progress, methodical, calculated approach. That's just me. That's how I think, and that sits better with me. So I know I don't think I'm gonna avoid every crash. I know that anything can happen. I know that people say it's a certainty, and when it happens, I want to make sure I'm geared up, and so I'll take it one step at a time. So the suspension is absolutely wonderful, surprisingly wonderful. Like I said, speed bumps are hardly a thing. There's nothing. I mean, even cars don't necessarily do that good over speed bumps. Unless you got like a really big tires in a big truck or something like that. But on even hitting these, and that's why they have them. But I'm able to hit them pretty well without very much disturbance to my ride. Just kind of leave my knees loose and I just roll right over them. And so that being the case, I'm just able to, like I said, just get through that and do some of the stuff that I want to do in my own time, and learn it piece by piece. Some of the things that I like about it is that it's very nice, right? It feels very good. It feels very high quality. Doesn't feel like it's going to mess up every time you drop it slightly. Nobody likes to drop their stuff, but it's pretty solid. And so I do like the way it feels. I think Inmotion does a great job with the quality of this. I've never had any problems with it. Everything's like it's supposed to be. And the pedals have the pegs. Now, once again, I have a lot to compare it to, but they got the little spikes on there that hold your feet in place. Sometimes that's bad, sometimes that's good. Sometimes when you're trying to bail, it can hold your feet on. I think that's how I lost my balance that one time in the grass, because I tried to bail and my foot got caught on the EUC and I lost my balance. That's it. Not too big of a deal there, but of course, when you're riding, you want to stay on, so that's much more important. And so I do like that, but I wish, once again, I had something to hold my legs in place when I'm either trying to brake extremely or accelerate extremely to feel my legs be more secure in that. Otherwise, I can only make slight little adjustments and where I feel comfortable. If I really try to lean forward, like I said, my calves are gripping the mess out of the those pads on the EUC at the same time. So I'm learning, I'm adjusting, and I'm going through everything. So is there anything I don't like about the EUC? The only thing that I don't know if I considered completely, and I didn't look at enough to matter. I still am happy with what I got, but I think if I were to buy another EUC in the future, not that I'm planning on it right now, I think this one has a tubed tire, and I think I'll prefer tubeless the same way that I prefer tubeless in my scooters. But I haven't had to change this tube. I don't know how much of a problem it's going to be. If it doesn't really become a problem, it's not going to matter that much. I can easily change the tube. This is an 18-inch tire, which I've changed lots of tubes and tires that big. So I feel a little bit better about changing that tire and tube, but I haven't done it yet, so I can't say with 100%. But I do feel better about it, having such a larger diameter and having more experience changing those size of tires. And so I think I would be able to handle that a lot better than I would like a 10-inch or 8.5-inch, especially 8.5-inch tire with a tube. It's just really difficult to deal with. And so I feel a little bit better about my odds with an 18-inch tire. But once again, I haven't done that yet. I don't know how much of a problem that's going to be, if it's going to be a problem. I haven't heard too many people with the problems. This isn't a super high speed EUC, so I don't think there's going to be the kind of problems I've seen in people at really high speeds with tubes. Heard about tubes like just popping, coming out, all kinds of crazy stuff. But I'm not going to be, going super fast on this thing, maybe 30 at the most. And if I have something like that happen, that's obviously going to be a big deal. But I don't think something like that's going to happen the way that I plan on riding this EUC. So I'm not really too concerned about that. But if I were to get another EUC in the future, and I decided I wanted to, try something else. Right now, I only have this one to compare to. I want to go to the expo there in Dallas in November and try some other EUCs, and who knows, maybe I'll fall in love with the EUC there. I'm really excited about trying the e-bikes because I do want to get an e-bike eventually, and rather than hear a bunch of stuff that people say on YouTube, because sometimes you can believe stuff, sometimes you can't. And once again, I was just watching something earlier, and it's true with EUCs, just like it's true with scooters, just like it's true with e-bikes. Too many of these influencers are too positive. And every review they do is a great review, and the scooter or EUC or e-bike is for someone. They never say it's for no one. And this is not a good, I don't like this. There's nothing I like about it. They're always trying to find someone that can fit it in. I just don't do that. And so the company shouldn't do that either. I heard someone say that earlier. It's not something that you want to do. You want to be honest, and the company should want you to be honest. You should not give a good review if it's not good. Look at Gordon Ramsay. That's one of the things I was thinking about. He is one of the toughest critics out there. But he's very popular. And if he says that something is worth his time, then people know they can trust it. Because he's critical. He's tough. He wants the best. And so he's honest. And so I do this to be honest. Companies should want people to be honest. And influencers shouldn't have to feel pressured to be dishonest in any way. Whether it be an omission, whether it be an outright lie, or whether it be just a little bit of sugarcoating. Guys, if you enjoyed this content and you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and happy riding.
He's got wheels and a dream on the fly. Zooms past the world, electric and spry. Through the city he weaves like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked, like he doesn't care. With a backpack full of snacks and a gleam in his eye. He's the hero we need, the electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're scooter guy. Potholes can't stop him, he jumps with flair. Wind in his face, like he just doesn't care. Charging his ride while sipping a chai. The unstoppable electric scooter guy. Ah, yeah. Late night rides under neon glow. His battery's low, but he still won't go. He's a rebel on wheels, no need to comply. Forever rolling, the electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Electric scooter guy. Electric scooter guy.